Friends, show me someone who says that car is not attractive and I will show you someone with significant vision problems. Show me someone who says that car is not fast and I will show you a moron. Then show me someone who says that car is not a contradiction in terms and I will show you someone who is not made aware yet that a large luxury Mercedes-Benz Coupe can be fitted with carbon ceramic brakes for the track. But you know what? As wonderful as all those things are, none of it is what this car is about. So driving dynamics. There's no getting away from the fact, even if we have less doors, that this thing still weighs 4,550 pounds. So it's not exactly the kind of car you're going to toss around a track. You're going to toss around corners like this, although that's what we're doing today. And we're doing that because I want to get some of the driving dynamic stuff out of the way, because believe it or not, that's not the most important part of this car. Let's start with the business end. We've kind of been here before with the S63 sedan. 577 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. But as amazing as that number is, what's more amazing is where it comes in. 2,250 RPM. Okay, so all that power is fine and good, but how does it translate to the road? Well, here, this is where you're just dealing with math. And where it really pays dividends is pulling this thing from a dead stop or dealing with situations like this where I'm going up a hill and dealing with I'm really disturbing the plane of motion of the vehicle, and the car pulls itself out of these corners without even breaking a sweat, which is really impressive for a vehicle A, this size, and B, this weight. And it does it with a little pageantry there. Did you hear that? Now friends, this is the part of our episode where I am genuinely confused. I think we'd all agree this is a world car. So much like phone manufacturers, they manufacture different builds of this vehicle for different markets. Like for example, in the US, this is only on offer with 4MATIC, all-wheel drive. Continental Europe, you can get it two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. In the UK, anything you want as long as it's two-wheel drive. Now, as confusing as that is, what's really confusing is what you can and can't pair with the different drive systems. Now, let's go back to our S550 film, where we went through all the technical mumbo-jumbo of how Mercedes gets a 2.5-ton car to actually handle on a road like this. And it actually does it somewhat respectably. Well, that's called magic body control, and it does it through a combination of stereo cameras in the windshield, cameras hanging off the mirrors, radars hanging off the both bumpers. Basically, this is an AWACS plane with a Mercedes logo on it. Well, here they have something called curve control, and it builds on magic body control, and it makes this S-Class lean like a motorcycle going into turns. I know, completely cool. Here's the bad news. 4MATIC, curve control, verboten. Now, I know that's a tough choice, all-wheel drive versus this very cool technology, but wait, there's more. So all the data inputs we talked about, there's another one with curve control. They take the data from the GIS maps in the nav system to read the road you're on and blend it with all the cameras and the radar systems to make the car lean the right way. I know I would want my S63 to have this, but because I live in the US, I can't. And if I lived in Europe, and let's say I lived in Österreich, and I wanted all-wheel drive to go skiing, you can't have the curve control. So you see why I'm confused. So if you check the option box for the S63 over the S550, you get a completely different transmission. Basically, when you check for the 7-speed, it gives you a clutch instead of a torque converter that you would get in the S550. Now, I've driven both engines and transmission combinations. I would argue that this one is significantly sharper in shifts, especially with the personality of this engine. There's so much power from down low. You want to be able to put your foot into it and this thing just takes off. Now granted, I'm changing gears manually here, but this is one of these instances where I would argue the machine, the computer itself, can do almost as good of a job as you can. I mean, the main reason why you'd want to hold a gear or change the gears yourself is because you want more interaction with a car. But let's go back to the personality of this vehicle. It's not, I know I go on and on about a Lotus Elise, and that's my religion, but it's not a Lotus Elise. It's an S-Class. So I'm actually not fussed with this thing changing the gears for you. It does a fantastic job, as a matter of fact. Why don't we let it do the shifting for us? Let's switch into auto mode and go through some turns here. Now, I would hold this in 2, and it is going in 3rd gear. And now we're getting to a very nice declining radius turn here, and it still is holding in 3. But notice the composure between the transmission and really a 4,550-pound car around curves like this. An important thing to note, this is an all-wheel drive car, but it's rear-wheel drive biased. It's 67% of the power going to the rear wheels, and then it can vary depending on traction loss and whatever the driver input is. So there are 2 things about this transmission of which I'm going to complain. The first we've covered in our S63 sedan film, and it applies here. The transmission selector, I don't like it here. As a matter of fact, I hate it here. It should be here. This reminds me of my mother's 74 Buick. The second complaint is in low-speed situations. I know this is pedantic, but when you're like doing low-speed maneuvers, like 3-point turns, parallel parking, that kind of stuff, this is very slow to switch between park and reverse, neutral, and drive. I don't know why it does that, and my thinking is it's the lack of a torque converter. Probably the case. And then there's the interior, which is so important we need to break it into 2 segments. First, we need to cover the parts that make up the interior, and then we need to cover the sum of those parts. Now, when you open the door, you're struck with, oh my God, this is a stunning place to be. Now, if you remember back when we first saw the car in 2014, the sedan, I was blown away. Like, I couldn't believe that the designer's vision could completely bypass the reality departments that are engineering and the bean counters to become this, or at least what's in the sedan. This is a couple of steps above that, if you can believe it. I would say this is, let's just say, on the R-rated side of the sensual and intimate of the personal luxury coupe. Then they layer this panoramic sunroof on top of that. Now, I don't understand why, but it doesn't open. I personally want it to open, so we need to get on that. Then the seats, they're specific to this car. Even the back seats are something to behold. Heated and cooled and massaged. You get heat in the back on this one. And if that weren't enough, the armrests are heated. Can I just say wunderbar? Then they layer some technology on top of all this stuff. It's got the usual cadre of like safety stuff, like the blind spot, all that kind of stuff. And in this case, 360-degree cameras and the Distronic Plus, which I love, the party trick of showing people the car drives itself. This one has a head-up display. The tachometer is not rendered as a dial, it's rendered as a bar, which is pretty cool. Then they've got all the navigation screen. Basically, all that stuff comes straight from the S-Class. Now, this one is not fitted with many options, although the couple of options it has, it's got the Burmeister. If I were advising you to purchase one of these, I would highly suggest you get the Burmeister, and not because of the sound, and the sound is better, but because of the speaker grills. You want to take the speaker grills, put them up as art on the wall of your home to impress your friends. That's why you want Burmeister. And then there's like an old world Silicon Valley technology in here. A trackpad. Actually, I think that was invented in Russia for the old Palm Pilots. If you guys know, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, this one, it speaks German.
Best set.
Now those are the bits that make up the interior, but now, friends, we're getting to really what I feel is the point of being for this vehicle, even more so than the design. Follow me on this one for a minute. For those of you that could afford a car like this, or for those of you that are in management, run your own companies, whatever, I think you would understand or appreciate that when you start making a lot of money in life, your life changes. You have different responsibilities. There's no like going home and leaving work at work on the weekends. Weekends, weekdays, they are the same. You have huge responsibilities. The interior of this car washes them away, and that is not a joke at all. we work till like midnight editing every night. And the time that I've been in this car, I come out to this car, sit in this car, and it transforms me. All of the stresses of the day, all of the frustrations, or all of the things that I've got to do tomorrow, you don't even think about it with this interior. It takes you to a different place. I am not trying to make a joke. I'm not trying to overstate this. This interior is that good. Now let me put it to you a different way. We've had a lot of designers on the show, and over the years I've become very good friends with some of these guys. And one of them, who shall remain nameless, follows me on Twitter. He does not work for Mercedes-Benz, that I can guarantee you. But he has spent his entire career doing nothing but interiors. He is so good at his job, he now runs all of interior design for a large multinational car manufacturer. So it would stand to reason this man knows what the hell he's talking about. Well, this thing turns up on my doorstep, and invariably I start tweeting out pictures like a 13-year-old girl. Well, this chief interior designer, who shall remain nameless, sees one of those tweets, one of the interior, responds and says, arguably one of the best interiors out there. Don't take it from me, take it from the competition. Okay, let's take a little break here because I've got a theory. If you can afford a car like this, you are at the top of your game. I don't care what your game is. You could be in the creative arts, you could be in the business world. You are a killer. Now, killers, they don't drive silver cars. This is the worst color for this thing. That car, so exquisite in design. This color just washes it out. There's no contrast. So I went online to look at what colors were on offer, and check this out. Ruby black metallic. You gotta see this in person. Oh, this, they do it with a saddle interior. It's not quite tan, it's not quite brown. And then they have the diamond stitched interior. Santa Maria, Madre de Dios. And then if you don't like ruby black metallic, lunar blue metallic, same interior. Oh, incredible. Let's say you are in the creative field. You want to go down the yellow brick road. You've got emerald green metallic, same color interior. You even can do black wheels on that thing. Now that is what a killer drives. Allow me to be a little pedantic here with the verbiage that certain car manufacturers use when they're naming their cars. BMW calls some of their cars Grand Coupe, and technically they're 4-doors. Can I show you what a Grand Coupe really means? Both windows down, no B-pillar. That is truly a coupe. That is grand. So in summary, what do we got? Well, we've got a car that does everything it was designed to do incredibly well, but it was designed from the inside out. Now, I would argue Mercedes-Benz, they have a huge R&D budget. That is how they were able to build an interior like that. Now, think about this for a minute. You hear the term craftsmanship thrown around like Tecate on Cinco de Mayo, but in reality, that is not craftsmanship, that's artistry. And I really don't care whether it was built by a machine or by hand. And that presents a unique question for us or anybody trying to buy a car like this. Would you choose the serial production German car, or would you choose the bespoke built British car like a Bentley or an Aston Martin? So I'm going to turn the question around to you guys. Let me know which one you would choose and why, like an Aston Martin, a Bentley, or the S63, or even the S550. Let me know in the comments below, or via our social media, MotoManTV, all one word, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And this is important because it's a different question than I asked you in our S63 sedan film, because that's a different car. That is not an S63 sedan with 2 doors lopped off of it. That is an entirely different approach to building coupes than Mercedes has done in the past. So here's the script. Click here to subscribe, click here to watch one of our 350 other episodes, and most importantly, share us with your friends. You're already wasting half your life on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. MotoManTV, all one word. I don't care who you share us with. Share us with your enemies. Just give the gift of MotoMan.